Good morning. You guys never say good morning back.
Good morning.
Good morning, Coach.
Come on, it's Duck Week. Come on.
Nobody ever got mad, so we say good morning, Bob.
All right, go ahead and get started.
What does Duck Week mean to you?
Ooh, man, I get excited for our kids and the opportunity of what this is, the stage they're going to be on, and what the community looks at this way. I mean, I think probably like any coach, rivalry week, you get excited about playing a big game, and got to keep the standard the same, but it's a lot of fun.
You guys have that messaging that most programs do in terms of most important game is the next game, always approaching it that way. How much do you kind of let it in terms of the noise here when game day is coming, when it is kind of the spotlight of the country, or do you try to kind of shut that out as much as possible?
Yeah, good question. I think you have to keep the guys level, not only for the sake of this game, but I think for the remainder of the season and leading up to this game is if you start changing what the standards are for each individual game and, the Oregon week feels way different than the Cal week, then I think the players will start to, address practice and preparation in different ways depending on who you're playing. And that's obviously a slippery slope. And I think the guys understand. I think we got smart kids that realize that if they don't press the standards each week, the improvements won't be made to win the late season game. So I think it's cliched, but it's applicable.
What did you learn about the offense through the bye week when you were kind of self-assessing and self-scouting?
I think that there's some things that we obviously need to work on. I think some of the inconsistencies are some of the things we have to address. Obviously those are the ones that the drive stoppers when you start getting behind the sticks on penalties and things like that, just addressing the small things like that. The self-inflicted wounds are always the thing you try to find. Why are these things happening? What's going on? If you get a holding call, is it because of, how we're teaching things, or is it because of, hey, he just had his hands outside his framework on that one, and just all those kind of little things that hold us up.
I'm sure it probably does surprise you a little bit when you have such a veteran group and you guys, it's offense and defense, but you're last in the country in penalty yards right now. Is that just jarring when you go into the bye week seeing that? It
is. It's frustrating. It for sure is. I think that, those are things I know Coach DeBoer addresses every week with the guys, but, I think that there's penalties that are, definitely subjective by the refs, what they're seeing, what they're interpreting, and you have to live with that if it's not egregious and just say it's part of the game. But it's the pre-snap penalties and things like that. Those are the most frustrating. And I think when you see those, it gets hard to watch. You can't live with that. And then I think in the course of a football game, I mentioned holding already, and that's obviously been a sore subject, and we just got to keep getting better at it. And when you get in a football game and you've already got a couple calls, they're obviously looking for it, and you got to adjust and be ready to play the right way.
Ryan, there's been a lot of talk about how it's a good thing that Washington got pushed by Arizona, that they needed that. Do you kind of buy into that theory?
No, I don't know. I mean, I think, you got to be pushed every week, honestly. And I think there's a piece to it when you have tight football games. There's a management part that the guys have to be able to play in the moment and not let the moment get too big for them and things like that. So there's certainly something to the thought that how do your guys respond, and you can't ignore that. But at the same time, I think everybody wants to not fumble on the 5-yard line, and get it to 38-17 or whatever it is. And that to me is way more gratifying than having to play a close football game at the end, and not put yourself in that position. So I guess there certainly is some wisdom to the thought that a close football game at the end can prove some things to yourself. But at the same time, I just think that, executing at a high level, confidence is king, and I would have rather had that.
There's a lot of talk about Oregon's offense, but their defense is tied for 8th in the country in sacks per game. What do you see on that side of the ball versus what you saw a year ago from them?
Yeah, they're talented, number one. They got good football players, and obviously Coach Lanny's a defensive guy, and Tosh does a great job. I think they're well coached. I think their scheme is wide. meaning they run a lot of different things and different variations of their pressure packages and blitzes and things like that. So it spreads you out a little bit as far as what you got to think about. And so we certainly are looking at that. And then I think they got guys like number 3 that they can move him inside and outside. And I think he's one of the better D linemen in the conference, and then they got one who's a big kid off the edge that certainly can go as well. So I think they got some good, strong guys up front that certainly can pose some problems.
Is Jalen McMillan on track to play?
He is. You should have seen him yesterday. He looked great. He's ready to roll.
How about Rome?
Same thing. Ready to go.
I'm curious, you guys just hired a new AD who comes from Iowa, and you come from Iowa high school sports. Did you guys know each other at all? Have you heard the name?
Did not. I did not. Nope.
Okay.
But he's from Iowa, so I'm thumbs up. I'm excited.
In terms of anticipation, do you feel like this is the biggest game that you've been coaching?
Yeah, I think that'd be fair to say. Leading up to this event, I mean, I think that it's all relative, right? There's some games I think certainly that, leading up to those moments, there's, where you're at in that moment. They're really, really big football games. Coaching in the 2008 NAIA National Championship, that was a big game. But certainly at this level, I think it'd be hard to argue with that. I thought last year's game, going out to Oregon with everything that was on the line and type of team that they were, where they were ranked, I felt like it was a big-time opportunity as well. But I do feel like our staff offensively does a great job. It's the same thing. You got to come up with the best ideas we got every single week, put our guys in the best position, get them ready to execute at a really high level, and that's exactly what we're doing.
What did you learn from the Arizona game on film with them playing so many just defenders so far off the ball?
Yeah, we've seen it before. Cal the season before, and eventually some people get to their drop coverage and things like that. So I think every week we go into it, and Oregon's no different. That people have certain aspects of their defense that have higher percentage of their DNA in it, and then you just have to think about what the possibilities are going to be, because there's going to be looks also that we've never seen. We've seen that every week where somebody puts something out there that didn't show up on film, and we got to be able to adjust and overcome. And I think that that's one of the things that our guys have felt strongly about performing in this offense, that we have to be an answer-based offense, that we're going to have an answer for man coverage and for zone droppers and certain type of pressures and things like that. And I think our guys adjust well on the sideline.
Is that different than last year? Like, are you seeing more teams kind of adapting to what you're doing and doing new stuff versus what you saw a year ago?
At this point in the season, yes. I don't think that we had this many changes in what we were seeing on film to this point as we had last year at this time. So I think it's showing up a little bit more. It's certainly at the end of the season. You think about the bowl game even and some of the things that Texas did, and I think that showed up a lot.
When you went back and looked at the tape of Arizona, is there anything that you wish you would have done differently?
Oh, there's every game. Every game there's that. I think, not breaking down every specific call, but, I think you always want to try to find ways to establish a run at different points. And, again, I think our guys do a great job. Mike was 75% completion, 360 yards, and, it's hard to argue with the completion percentage. And there's a couple plays there on third down that, we're frustrated with. But and honestly, I thought I could have been more aggressive in the third quarter. So that's something that we do a good job of, is staying aggressive, and I don't want that to change.
You guys have been very good after getting a takeaway. I think 8 possessions, 6 touchdowns, a field goal, and the Jeremy fumble.
Yep.
Should have been a score.
Sure.
Is there something about this group that you feel like has a killer instinct or has allowed you guys to make it hurt after getting a takeaway?
I do think our guys are tied into that they know how hard the defense has to work to get takeaways. And so I think, obviously every drive, every time we have the football, we want to score. But thinking about the opportunity and the momentum swing that's created by a turnover is certainly something that our guys are in tune with. And then obviously us just being aware of that as well, especially where you get the football and just taking advantage of it.
Are you at full strength with your offensive line?
Yeah. For the ones we got, yeah. Yeah. Julius looked great out there yesterday, though. He did a great job. He's been Obviously battling a high ankle sprain, but yesterday was the first time he'd been out there, and I think he took probably 50% of the reps. So that was really good to see, to get him back in the mix as well.
Would you expect him to be collaborating with Nate on that side, or how would you kind of shift things around?
Yeah, good question. I think that, my experience has always been, on the O-line, you want the least moving parts. So that would more lean towards him playing on the right side, potentially just keeping Troy and Nate locked in over there. They got a good relationship going there. And then you could think more about one spot. Now, ideally, all those guys on the inside got to, dual train at a couple different spots, but they've been doing a good job with that.
All good?
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Coach.
Fire away.
With Bo Nix, he had a heck of a game last year, heck of a season last year. How is he on film a different or better quarterback than what you guys saw a year ago?
Yeah, I mean, he's just extremely well balanced. He's doing a great job of executing the system that they have in place. You look at his completion percentage right now, and you guys in the 80, anybody above 80%, that's, elite level stuff. And I think he's just doing a good job taking care of the ball. Really refuses to take sacks, finds a way to get the ball out on time, and then, just operating their offense overall. It's just a really steady veteran presence, and that's, super common with the league this year. I mean, there's a lot of veteran quarterbacks out there that are operating at, Heisman level, and, of course, Mike is here, and there's a lot of guys in the league that are doing that right now.
Last year's game, each team kind of took turns beating each other with the long ball. As I can tell, looks like both secondaries are better this year.
Right.
Is that true?
I don't know about their secondary, but our secondary certainly is. I think, being healthy, and the big thing and big mantra for us the whole entire season is don't give up the ball over the top. Don't give up the explosive pass play. And I think, through the first half of the season here, we've done a good job with it. You look at just statistically in the numbers, and actually some of our bigger issues have come at times when the ball's been thrown behind the line of scrimmage, and those turning into, explosive passes. But so far, really proud of the guys. They're doing a great job making sure the ball doesn't go out over the top, and we're making people earn it.
How much of that are you seeing from Oregon as far as pushing the ball downfield versus kind of nickel and diamond defenses?
Right. I think right now, well, first of all, I mean, they have, tremendous running backs. I mean, I would start with that. They're running the ball at a really efficient rate. You look at their average per rush right now. I mean, their top two running backs are 8 yards a carry. The other kid's almost 10 yards a carry. So it really starts with that. And then you've got the, like I said, Bo's pass game. A lot of it's quick game. It's coming out fast. They're letting their speed, skill guys get the ball, low in space and making plays. And, I think they're timely on the shots. I don't know if they take quite as many shots as they took a year ago, but, you've got, some guys that can run down the field deep threat wise for them too. And they'll take their, when the time's right, they'll take their shots out over the top.
You guys missed a lot of tackles in that game last year. I think
Yep.
probably the most since you've been here.
Right.
Are you confident that you're
Point of emphasis the entire season. I think that's an off-season study and review coming off of last year. It's been a mantra throughout the course of the spring. It's been a mantra every single week during the season. I think there's a lot of guys that are playing in the game again that understand that we need to do a great job of getting their backs down. And you look at, I think their backs, and something they pride themselves on is obviously making people miss, and they've done a good job of that so far this year. And it's not just a one-guy thing. I think it's got to be multiple guys at the point of attack every single snap. It's relentless focus, and it's relentless finishing. And, I think it's the key to the game.
How do you think they've performed in that regard so far, the first 5 games of the year, missed tackles?
Us?
Yeah.
We've been solid so far. Obviously strive for perfection every single week, but I think guys are being more aggressive in their demeanor and their tackling, and we talk about taking your shot when you got an opportunity to take a shot, and if we get a chance to spray a guy or make him step back or make him move lateral, that gives time for other guys to get there. And so guys have had a really aggressive mindset towards tackling so far in the season, and it's going to be absolutely paramount come Saturday.
You mentioned Bucky Irving for them has been really good. Was really good against you guys last year. What makes him a different kind of player.
Man, he could change gears. I think that's the biggest thing. His ability to jump, cut, and slide. His ability to set up blocks, I think, is something that is really top end in terms of, the league and maybe the country. Is how he'll draw guys in. He has got good lateral quickness. He'll bounce. He'll get vertical, and it's hard to get him on the ground one-on-one. You see that throughout the course of the season last year and this year, where one guy he is a knack for making the single guy miss. And so, like I said, it's got to be a team effort with him, and very explosive, very dynamic, and obviously doing a great job leading their rushing attack.
Does Thule and Turner each have a chance to play this week?
Yes.
Chuck, you talked about your defense aggressiveness. How would you assess the fundamentality, if you will, when they get to that point of attack and staying disciplined? How important that's been to your defense?
In terms of the execution of the tackling, I think it's critical. Like I said, I don't want to repeat here, but challenge guys to be really aggressive at the point of attack. And, I think that it really, the tone's set by, our linebacker. We got a very veteran linebacking core, and those guys are at the point of attack a lot. And then obviously our safeties are very involved in helping stop the run. And you've got veteran guys that are coming downhill and making a lot of plays. And so I think guys have done a good job so far, but we're also going to see a different caliber coming in this weekend.
How important is it going to be for them to set the edge on the run to try to?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's where Oregon's broken games open so far this year is the explosive run. You're gapped out. One guy gets out of a gap. One guy doesn't hold leverage. We always talk about spill frame, hammer leverage stuff all the time. And obviously, if you let Bucky get open in space, he's hard to chase down. So yeah, it's absolutely critical that we're super disciplined, very gap sound.
This is probably going to be the craziest Husky Stadium that you've seen since you've been here in terms of the atmosphere. People talk about that all the time, but from a defensive perspective, when you guys are on the field and it's loud, how much can that matter? How much can that impact?
I think it can make a massive impact. There's no doubt about it, and I think we prepare for it to be a massive impact every single week. And it's got its own innate challenges for us. We've got to do a great job with our comms, our communication, our personnel groups, our hand signals, just make sure that everybody's 100% on the same page. But man, we invite it for sure. I mean, I think if the building's electric and it's the anticipation leading up to, the volume that can get turned up in this place. I think we're excited for that because I think you ask any opposing offensive coordinator that question and it brings them a whole nother subset of challenges that they got to deal with. And we'd be excited for the place to be lit up the entire 4 quarters plus.
Ryan mentioned trying to keep his guys level for this game, and with game day coming and all the hype around it, how do you kind of balance getting your guys ready for that atmosphere and getting excited versus getting maybe a little too hyped up?
Yeah, we talked about it right from the rip. I mean, coming off the last week's game, cut the noise. The only thing that matters is the guys in the room. The only thing that matters is our practice mentality, how we operate, how we prepare. It doesn't change, and I think that's something driven from a program standpoint, by our head coach, is the fact that we need to treat every game with this level of seriousness and preparation levels, and it doesn't change. If there's 80,000 people, if it's the championship game, if it's week 3, 4, 5, 6, if it's a February morning training regimen, our mentality has got to be the same. And I think, the thing you're confident in, again, is just the number of veterans throughout our team right now, where there's guys that have been in plenty of big moments. They've played in a lot of big games, and so I don't think it's going to faze them. Sometimes you get concerned with maybe a few young guys being in that environment, but I think guys, you lean on your leadership and you lean on your veterans to make sure that you're steady and just keep your eyes right in front of you.
I asked Ryan a version of this question, but your guys' offense has been really good after a takeaway, and your defense has been very good after your offense turns it over. I think it's 5 turnovers and 1 touchdown and 4 nothing. Well, what do you credit that to in terms of your defense's ability to see a turnover and shut that down?
Right. Well, I think it's a mentality piece. We've talked a lot in the offseason about elite defenses thrive in those situations. You want that situation. I think there's a mentality sometimes if there's a turnover and it's we got to go on the field versus let us on the field. We want to be on the field. We want to be in that situations because I think great defenses are judged by their response to adversity. And so I think our guys take pride in that. And, through the first part of the season here, guys are doing a great job taking the ball away. I think, we're a very deadly team, top to bottom, when we can, have the quick strike capabilities of grabbing a takeaway and then putting the offense in great field position, and they can score. As everybody knows, they can score in a 1 play, 2 play score. I mean, that sets, opponents reeling. And you can, what we've done several times this season is be able to stack up on people really fast and let the game get out of hand really fast. And so I think our guys understand feeding the offense and getting them set up in good field position and being hungry and starving to take the ball away.
Coach, is there any difference that you've seen from the way the new offensive coordinator at Oregon has called games as opposed to Coach Dillingham last year?
Sure. Actually, there's a lot of similarities. Probably more similarities than differences. I think, Coach has, obviously put his own stamp on it. But, I think when you walk in and they have the personnel, they have great personnel, and the personnel that they have leans towards certain things schematically that you're going to see some similarities between it. But, there's certainly a lot of carryover. We've done a lot of, our own off-season research into Coach and his background and things that he likes to do. But at the same standpoint, I think there's a lot of things that are strong carryovers from previously.
All set?
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
All right, good morning. Exciting week for our guys. It was good to have the bye week. Got a lot done as far as just continuing to, get healthy and, still 7 weeks to go. And as quickly as 5 weeks have gone past, a lot of season left. And so heavy emphasis on continuing to get stronger and working on the conditioning. We had a game finally here in the last few weeks with the Arizona game where we played through pretty much all 4 quarters. And so that was good from even a conditioning standpoint. So just a good week all around. Coaches got out some recruiting, got some recruiting done. And, here we are. Guys had great energy yesterday in our workouts. They were ready to get after it and looking forward to all the excitement and the experiences that come, especially for our fan base with game day being here. Really, it's an exciting time. So glad we got the program to a level where this excitement surrounds our program.
What do you think of your new boss?
Yeah, Troy, again, very minimal as far as opportunities to talk. Had a conversation since it's been announced, and I'm excited to have him here. And I think he just arrived here this morning and get a chance to really dig in and go to work. I know he's ready, got strong intentions on building on what already is a strong athletic department. But, I'm excited. He's done some great things everywhere he's been. Obviously football is the one that's specific to me, but I think it's the whole athletic department, just great leadership that he brings. He's very involved, with different NCAA committees and different things as far as being educated on what, legislature might happen a year, 2 years down the road and what's coming up. So just love his involvement in trying to make athletics, college athletics and college football better every opportunity he can.
Does the Midwest thread just kind of make sense here? Your staff is mostly Midwest produced and you're headed for a Midwestern conference, and you have a leader from Iowa. So
yeah, I think it just happened that way. Just kind of happened. I don't think you're just looking for the best person, and he was that. So we got a few guys from Iowa on my staff, and the Iowa jokes are going to continue to flow here now with the addition of an athletic director here. But it's just good. I think he was he's an extremely qualified person for this position, and we're all excited about the direction he'll give us here moving forward.
Did you know him at all previously?
No, I did not. Yep.
Coach, you get a top 10 matchup against your most hated rival, first time in 115 years that both teams have been ranked in the top 10. You get them on your home turf. Is there anything bigger than this weekend?
Well, the thing for us is we wanted to make sure this weekend was big. And so I'm proud of the way the guys have every week gone about taking care of business. And, you saw this as hopefully inevitable that it came to this point, just a lot of respect for what, Oregon's doing with their season too. So, happy that this is a big week because we've done everything to make it that. If we slip up anywhere along the way, it wouldn't be what it is. So excited for this opportunity. That's what it is. It's a challenge, but it's an opportunity. That's what our guys came here to do, is be a part of games like this and moments like this and build the program to this point. And so, embracing it is how we look at it.
Is there any concern about making it too big? Because you've got a lot of big games after this one. You don't want to make this one kind of for everything.
Yeah, we always say the next game is the most important one because that's what it is. It's the next game. And so we'll put everything into it. But I feel like we put everything into every other game too. And so I don't think I'm worried about our guys. They need to prepare. And we've talked about elevating our preparation, and we talk about the standard that we have, and certainly guys are going to be at that this week in preparation for the game.
You were asked about the home environment here after the Cal game, and you said that there's another level that it can get to and that needs to get to. How much can that matter in a game like this, where I think it's going to probably reach that more towards their peak?
Yeah, I think there is another level, and I'm excited to see it this weekend. Expect that from Husky Nation and the pride we have. I think just the rivalry itself, but also just where we're at in our season and what we have going right now, and the momentum this could continue to carry us through with the rest of the season as we go through it. So we need Husky Nation in Husky Stadium, given everything they got. Our guys are going to do the same.
You've obviously had big games in your career, like NAIA level. I guess with all of this, kind of the hoopla going on around all this, what do you kind of take from your experiences at NAIA level and kind of try and bring it into this situation of all the big stage you guys?
Yeah, I think just be who you are. Make sure you don't forget about your identity, your DNA, all those things. So whether it comes to schemes or your personality, as a team, individually, I think you got to be who you are, and just get locked in on the preparation, because all the hoopla is going to happen, and then we're going to get on the field, and it's going to be another football game. That's really what's going to happen. The first kickoff is going to happen, and we're going to be in the rhythm of football game. We're going to be playing, and it's going to be about winning, which is like it is every other game. So there is a lot that surrounds it. There's obviously more people involved than any other time that I've had, when you're at the smaller levels. But, when you really giving it everything you got, it means so much to you. The excitement, or even if you want to call it pressure around it, it can't be above and beyond what you already have invested in this thing. And so our players, our coaches, I think that's the way we look at it.
I asked Ryan the same question. I want to ask you too. Do you feel like there's a silver lining to having to play a full 4-quarter game against Arizona where your starters finish and you get pushed like that before you play a game like this?
Yeah, and I said something about the conditioning earlier. I don't know, maybe that's just us understanding where we're at, because now it's 2 weeks removed from when we would have played that game. But I think the mindset, I think, is what it always is, and having to get some first downs or get some stops in big moments, and have another level of intensity for a longer and extended period of time. It's certainly, now that we've gone through it, we can learn from the things that maybe we could have done better to not put ourselves in that spot. But having gone through it, it certainly isn't going to hurt us, I don't think.
You mentioned with the staff thing, our recruiting last week. Have you noticed the perception change and maybe able to get players that last year wouldn't have considered you, given you guys were just starting out and hadn't improved as much as you have now?
Yeah, I think it continues to grow and grow. A year ago, your recruiting classes are almost done by the time you get to this point. There's a couple add-ons that we had a year ago, and probably a couple more that we'll still, maybe have. But your recruiting classes are really full when you get to this point. But I can see the excitement with just our commits, and also what would be considered the 25 class, and just the way they're looking at us, and the excitement, the relationships just continue to go on to another level. It certainly had an impact, our success has.
I asked this to your coordinators, but you guys have been really good after committing a turnover defensively and also getting a takeaway offensively in terms of maybe having some kind of a killer instinct. Do you think that's just having a veteran group here, or is there anything you can pinpoint about why you guys have been able to really lock in the wake of those kind of plays?
Yeah, I think last year we were really good at it, and it's just because we preach it every single day. Good play, bad play. The next one is the most important, just like we're talking about the next game being the most important. I really feel like our guys have a mindset. I spoke to the team yesterday, watching a little bit of college football Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. It is so easy to see the teams that have, you can see it through their body language. You can see it players, coaches, are they able to move on past a moment that didn't go their way? And then the other end of it is when things are really going your way, are you someone who, like you said, has that killer instinct, or do you just kind of let off the gas and just think everything's going to be okay and continue on? So the 1-0 mindset, I know it's a cliche, but we really, really buy into that. And, we can move on. We talk about the ball not always bouncing the way that you want because it's odd shaped, right? And some things are just out of your control. And so the thing we got to do is control our attitude, effort, and energy. And our guys, I think, moving forward are really good in response to good and bad things that have happened, such as the takeaways.
Kalen, a game like this, penalties can be obviously huge. I think you got, 32 in your last 3 games combined. What have you done kind of maybe specifically during the bye to kind of help clean that up a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, since the beginning of the year, we'll throw those up on the screen and talk about them on Sundays. There's I think some, the one that I even just, this weekend that seems to continue to be called that we've been hit for is the peel back, crack back blocks. And so we got to be conscious of that even when you don't really feel like you're, impacting someone hard. I mean, if you're not in their vision, they don't have a chance. You got to just do a really exceptional job. So some of it is me just educating our guys and, just being conscious. Can't grab the cloth. You can't. The holding calls, I think, are there. And we got to do a better job. So continue to coach it up. But that's all we can do. And I think our guys are real close and doing a good job and putting a lot of effort forth towards that and
Are the
understanding.
games being called consistently from week to week and crew to crew, you think, for the most part?
Yeah, I think I think they are. Yeah, I think they're consistent.
Do you know the trends of this series? And when I say that, Don James came in here and he absolutely owned this thing. He won like 15 out of 18 games. And then once he left, it shifted to Oregon. And now it's kind of at a precipice where it either goes back to Washington or it goes back to Oregon or it goes back and forth. So, I mean, it's just kind of an interesting milestone right now. I don't know if you're quite aware of that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know all the flows of how it's gone, but I certainly know where it's at. Most recently, and just the hype that surrounds it. It's fun to be a part of. The excitement, and then just what it means to not just the fan base, but what it means to our team and our season right now that we have going. It's a big game for sure.
Mike's obviously played a lot of big games through 6 seasons, and this is one where there's 2 Heisman contenders, and there's going to be a lot of that narrative around it. Do you say anything to him going into a game like this, or do you just trust that he's going to be where he needs to be?
Yeah, I just know Mike well enough to know just make it about us and focus on us, and that's a ton of respect that we have for Bo Nix and what he does. He's a great athlete, quarterback, does it all for their team as well. So, but for us, for Mike, it's about just doing his thing because we know the level he can operate at. It's elite. And if he just is himself and stays within his means and trusts his teammates, big things are always going to happen, just like they have each and every Saturday for him.
If this game, I was going to say if this game were last week or 2 weeks ago, would Jalen have played? But it sounds like he wasn't ready to go anyway.
He was very, very close, but I don't know. Based on, how it went, probably not, I guess, in the Arizona game.
What is
with him not
what is
playing.
getting him back kind of mean for the offense, you think?
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, just I think a lot of things he does situational wise. I mean, I think he's tough everywhere on the field, but he controls the middle, of the field really well. I think Coach Grubb, the offensive staff, do a good job of moving him around, and he's got that just intelligence, that football intelligence to be able to handle it all. He's instinctive. He understands matchups and how coverage is now. I think he's just grown a lot that way and understanding, finding the right area. Is it man? And then, tough on third down. He's a great third down guy that can move the chains for us, as well as a few others in the red zone. So he's just all around from one end of the field to the other. Different things that he can do to help us, put points on the board.
You guys were 7-2 going into this game last year, so you'd already accomplished some things. But I'm just curious, when you win a game, against that team on the road, in that kind of spotlight, how much do you feel like that kind of established your program or what your intentions were in your opening season?
Yeah, last year I think there was just a good build up to that game with a close win against Oregon State, and a couple other just kind of as we were building up and winning some close games and fighting through some adversity that we had when we were 4-0 and then went 4-2. We were just learning a lot about ourselves and understanding, how we can get through it. And that one certainly was one that put us over the top. And I think in our belief and trust in what we were doing at that time. And with that, I think it's carried over to this season, and that's why you see what you're seeing here through 5 games. So it was a big game at that time for different reasons. It maybe still gave us a belief and chance that you could make the conference championship a year ago, but I think there was just some things internally that it helped with as well.
I think Aaron mentioned the hated rival thing. Are you sensing that?
Oh yeah, hated, I think, amongst the fans, for a week. But it's healthy, in my mind. That's what college football is all about. You look around the country, and there were some games this weekend, and that's what's fun. You can't help but turn the channel to that game and watch it if you're living in any other part of the country, and that's what this game's all about. The fans and the hype and all the stories that surround like the ebbs and flows of decades of this rivalry are really, really cool, and we're excited to be a part of it this year. And because of where we're at in our season and the records, the rankings, it certainly means a lot.
Do you find you ever have to just kind of pull guys back at certain points because they get so amped up for a rivalry like this?
We haven't had that. We didn't have that last year. I think when you're an alum and you move on, I think those are the guys you got to pull back, because they just want it to continue on so badly. And that, when you don't have control, right, those are the times when I think you really get amped up. And, when you're done playing or when you're not coaching anymore, if you're a fan, you don't have the control, and I think from our standpoint with the players, they just know that, hey, do everything we can, control everything that we can control, take care of business that way. And I have no doubt that we'll leave it all on the football field on Saturday.
Who plays the role of Bo Nix in practice this week on scout team? Who gets that honor?
Yeah, there's a couple different pieces to it, right? You got the throwing piece, so you got Austin Mack, and then Will does a great job running around. It's kind of been a good 1-2 punch for us with a lot of the different quarterbacks that we have faced up to this point during the season.
All good?
Awesome. Thank you, guys.